All right. We are starting up. This is the second meeting of the Jenkins Pipeline Authoring SIG. My apologies for the schedule changes and lack of follow-ups on things. And yeah, it's been a busy month.
Yeah.
But it's good to be back. There's nobody new here so far, though I saw Stephen Tarana appear and then disappear. So hopefully he'll show up again. I assume that since I didn't follow up on anything from the docs and examples discussions from the last time, that nobody else did either.
Yeah, no, I haven't had a chance either.
Yeah, I will try to remember next week to send emails about that. I'm at KubeCon this week, so my brain is melted.
Do you still accept agenda items?
Yes, that's why I have other items. Question mark?
Yeah, I wanted to chat a bit about JSOC projects, current ones and probably existing ones. So if you don't mind adding them to the end, it would be nice.
Not at all, especially considering I don't think we have any of the testing people here. So the testing item looks like it probably will be quick. Yes, go ahead and edit the doc and add whatever you'd like.
Oh, right, there should be the doc.
Yeah, it's in the Getter channel and in the email. Okay. So is there anybody who wants to talk about testing frameworks for pipeline today?
I can provide a brief update. I've reached out to the current maintainer of pipeline unit. But yeah, I tried to get him on the call. Unfortunately, I didn't get him his response, but I will keep trying.
All right, we'll try to make sure to gather the various testing people for maybe next time, though I know that Stephen also has stuff he wants to show off next time. So on his templating stuff that he presented at Jenkins World that is now properly open sourced. Oh yeah, there's Stephen Tarana. He's the one new person.
There we go.
Hello. How's everyone doing?
If anybody has anything else they'd like to add to the agenda, feel free. I see Oleg copying in stuff that he had looped me in on already, so it's good stuff. Hey, Christian.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Apologies for arriving late. Hope I didn't interrupt anything.
Not a problem. I, after all, did schedule the whole thing a week late, so.
I
believe what you're sorry. Like what you're looking for is your idea here.
Oh, have you already started that?
Well, we didn't have any other comments about testing, so.
Okay, I just didn't catch the assumption that we go forward to the next action item.
That was our fault.
Okay.
Yeah,
no
sorry, I
worries.
was tabbed out for a second.
Yeah, so I can briefly screen share, or I can provide a short update. So yeah, we are going
Yeah, sure.
to.
If you'd like to screen share, I can.
Actually, you can just take. There we go.
Okay, so I'm presenting now. Am I Mr. Jenkins today? I hope not. Okay, no. So yeah, we had just some issues with previous screen shares. So just to provide some heads up, yeah, we are starting JSOC this year. We are currently aggregating project IDs. We haven't reached out publicly in the developer mailing lists yet, but we have started reaching out to special interest groups, including this one. And actually, we already have a few proposals which are actually really related to pipeline. What we have in the list, you may see that the list is pretty big already, and we are getting better. We have some proposals for REST API plugins like Bitbucket, Jenkins from Martin. Currently, these proposals are under review, but the idea there is to actually have a kind of pipeline frameworks in order to automate common steps when interacting with services. And there is a kind of discussion to actually have a replacement plugin, which would be just a single plugin doing some REST steps, something like that. So it's, yeah, do you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so this is one of the project ideas which are on the table. Then we have multi-branch pipeline support for GitLab. This proposal comes from Rick. He's leader of Chinese localization SIG, but he's very interested in this proposal. And yeah, there is ongoing discussion, and thanks a lot to you, Andrew, for commenting. So I hope we will aggregate, maybe not Andrew, yep, but somebody commented. And if you haven't commented yet, guys, it may be something interesting to you. And last but not least, we recover the artifact promotion plugin for Jenkins pipeline story. So it's one of the most voted tickets in Jenkins Jira, more than 120 votes. So having a kind of promotion engine for Jenkins pipeline for those ones who want to have some manual steps or semi-automatic steps when something happens. So not just a single pipeline, but a way to somehow promote artifacts produced by this pipeline. So we have these projects, and yes, we are looking for some other project ideas, including whatever idea you may have, including pipeline test frameworks, including documentation generators, pipeline enhancements. So if anybody on this call is interested, we're actually looking for ideas. And if you want, there is a guideline how to propose project ideas, but generally you just copy one project proposal template and send us a message in whatever chat so that we get that processed and published. So this is still there for this page. Yeah, there is more details, but actually if you send us a kind of short proposal with some fields, we will be able to process that, to publish that, and to help you to get the projects delivered. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Yeah, we are looking for proposals, and if you have something in mind, just let us know. What?
Yeah, my first thought on that is stemming from our last SIG meeting, that I wonder if that figuring out how to organize and present documentation and examples might be a worthwhile DSOC project. I'm not sure. It's not just writing documentation, but how do we, what's the framework for taking submissions, for examples? How do we have like maybe a voting mechanism for selecting the best examples, things like that? Do you think that might be worthwhile?
Yeah, so current conditions for GSOC, that Google Summer of Code is about coding.
Gotcha.
So even if you have documentation as code, probably documentation doesn't qualify.
Understood.
But whatever engines for generating documentation, whatever engines for enhancement, the mechanisms is something which could be done.
So specifically, we can't have them work on process problems, but we can have them work on the engine that would help that process.
Exactly.
It might be interesting to do something like the Kata Coda in-browser tutorial type sessions, where you could use something like Jenkins File Runner to be able to run snippets. Yeah, so specific implementation aside, being able to have code snippets that are runnable from documentation.
It's something we could actually do. Kata Coda. So Jenkins File Runner is a work in progress, and I was thinking about proposing at least one project idea in this area. Actually, last week I created CI Jenkins IO Runner, and I was thinking about proposing something in this area, but if there is interest to create demos, it's totally something we could do. Am I still screen sharing?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I just messed up everything a bit. So yeah, I have. What's going on with my browser?
Well, you stopped screen sharing. Now we just see you. And then I stopped make you present to everybody as well.
Oh, okay.
I've never done this before, so I'm just hitting buttons and seeing what happens.
Okay. Hitting buttons if something happens, no worries. Everybody studies.
Woo!
Yeah, so we messed up several broadcasts recently. Yeah, we are working on that. Okay, so CI Jenkins IO runner is what I wanted to propose, but yeah, actually the idea could be used for Katacoda or whatever examples. So if somebody is interested, we could definitely try doing that.
Yeah, does anybody else have any ideas? And we can move back on this. We'll put this on the agenda. What's the deadline for getting projects ideas?
So the deadline for proposing project ideas is late January for us. But early it happens. Early we can start community outreach, looking for potential mentors, etc. And that's why we reach out to special interest groups now.
So you said January?
Yeah, January.
Okay, so the deadline is before the next one of our SIG meetings then.
Yeah, right. So what I asked from the SIG participants now, and I'll probably duplicate it in the email, that if you have any idea, just to put a kind of brain dump here or anywhere else. And if somebody is interested, if we have 2+ potential mentors interested in something, we can get that published.
Yeah, that I'll start a thread, or Oleg, if you'd like to start a thread on the mailing list.
Yeah.
I right now, off the top of my head, because I'm conference brain drained and time zone confused, I know there's got to be things I'm not thinking of. So I'm sure there is something. We just need to think of what it is. I mean, working on the test frameworks, there may be something there. We don't have any of the test framework contributors here right now, so.
Yeah, right.
But we got to be able to find something interesting.
Yeah.
Let me stop. You present to everyone again.
Yeah, right. I'm not sure what's going on. Something changed in Hangouts output. I can start screen sharing. There is no button to stop screen sharing.
No, you stopped screen sharing. It's just that I was all set you to present it all.
Okay, so. Maybe it happened automatically somehow.
Yeah, I don't know.
Again, whatever. So if anybody has any other ideas, just let us know. I wanted to talk a bit to Devin about artifact promotion for pipeline, but yeah, we could probably take it offline.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, that's. I've had some ideas on that front, and I think that there's going to be authoring side stuff as well as internal stuff for that. Let's see here. Is there anything else anybody would like to talk about right now? If not, that's okay. I'm thinking that we'll stick with second Wednesday in the month, so that like we don't have our meeting right after New Year's next month.
Sounds good.
Yeah, one of the topics I would probably like to ask is about Jenkins File Runner. So currently it has no umbrella special interest group. It's somewhere between pipeline authoring, cloud native, and platform, depending of how you position that. And actually, my question to the SIG participants was whether you would like to see it as a part of pipeline authoring SIG, or whether you prefer it to be somewhere else.
I think probably somewhere else. I mean, the pipeline authoring SIG, I think, would be concerned with how behavior would differ within the Jenkins file runner versus the classic pipeline execution. But I think we're focused, on the authoring experience rather than the internals primarily.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It totally makes sense.
Sort of related to that, since this is my first meeting, do we have a charter or something similar to that that outlines exactly what the scope of our SIG is focused on?
It should be documented on.
Yeah, there's the SIG description page should talk about
Yeah.
what we have in mind.
Thank you.
Where are the SIGs?
A community.
Yeah, community.
Oh, I should update this to put our meeting schedule on here. Yeah, so syntax, code sharing and reuse, testing, IDE integration, etc., documentation, best practices, and examples are our focus areas.
Awesome.
So, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that JSOC project IDs in the list generally do not clarify for pipeline authoring SIG.
They relate, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up? If you're just viewing it and you want to stay in the Gitter channel, that's cool. I would like to ask Stephen Tarana to show off his work on what he's calling a Jenkins template engine, which has just been properly open sourced in the last couple of days. Will hopefully be in the Jenkins CI org and update center by next month, which is, I think, an interesting angle to look at in terms of authoring, and will be of interest to people involved in the SIG.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to showing you guys what we've been working on.
Cool.
One question I've got with regards to our focus areas. We say we are interested in the best practices, defining, maintaining, and evangelizing best practices in the Jenkins pipeline, or with regards to the Jenkins pipeline. However, there has been a couple of instances, but that's a month or more back in time, where people were told on our Gitter channel to ask elsewhere, like the general Jenkins channel, for support with the Jenkins pipeline questions. I was wondering, is that something we could make a stance on? What's okay, what's not okay? Personally, I would prefer that they asked in our Gitter channel, but maybe that's just me. Maybe there's a differing of opinions here.
I mean, I would, Andrew, if you want to take this, you can, but I would separate this in terms of questions about, hey, how do I write blah in pipeline, are less about the best practices for the authoring of that pipeline and more just, how do I do this? And that's not as interesting for the SIG. So that's if those are the kind of questions that came through, that would be the separation in my mind, anyways.
Obviously, people are always welcome to answer whatever they'd like. Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not really sure.
Well, I absolutely appreciate the point that was made of by. Sorry, I forgot your name already.
Liam. It's all right.
Liam, thanks. I think wanting to evangelize, wanting to share best practices, it's kind of counterproductive to that goal if we shoo people away, even if they're asking stupid questions. If they ask a stupid question, I'd rather we refer them to the same link over and over and say, hey, sorry, we already sent you the link, check it out, instead of, feeling like we need to waste our time answering each and every stupid question, or ignorant, stupid, you get what I mean. Having that as an open arena, but that's, again, my opinion, my impression.
I would also say that if the same quote stupid questions coming up frequently, that might be indicative of something not being intuitive enough.
Yeah, sure.
Right, and figuring out if there's ways to improve documentation or change things so it doesn't keep coming up.
Yeah, I mean, there's a semi-human knowledge base is not the worst thing, or at least a front line to a knowledge base. I mean, obviously, if someone comes in and goes, it goes buggy when I do blah, well, why did it stop working? I mean, that's support questions, which are not necessarily the right venue, but how can I do X? I think does actually fit in that it's not just lost in the main Jenkins channel's noise, and it's a group that are thinking about, okay, what are the best practices, and coming to an agreement on that stuff are the people to ask. So I think that how do I do something is a reasonable question. But ideally, yeah, the answer should be, oh yeah, here's a link. Here's where you can go, how you should do this, not having to write everything in the channel every time.
Sounds like the general consensus of the ones who've spoken is that we would like to be welcoming and open, and we don't mind people asking. We just mind that they expect us to involve ourselves or answer, especially when the questions themselves are not really researched or made a lot of effort into, like, why did it break? Well, give me some details and I might answer, So
it helps.
Could we make some proclamation of that on the description so that people know they could access us on the Gitter channel for that purpose? That's something people would be comfortable with, or am I pushing an agenda people are not agreeing with?
Well, I think there's value in having something like a standard operating procedure of looking for support. We'll always answer questions and be helpful, but here's the frequently asked questions page with common questions, and here's like a troubleshooting flowchart of common ways we're going to suggest that you approach solving a problem you're having. And if you get through that and you're still stuck, come help.
And pointers to where to go for more advanced Jenkins internal assistance as well. Because I don't want us to suddenly feel an obligation to debug people's weird Jenkins internal issues because they happen to get to them from pipeline questions. You know what I mean? Because I mean, if people want to, they can do that, but I don't think that should be have an obligatory aspect to it.
No, I agree. That's a perfectly valid point to make that I wholeheartedly agree with.
So, I mean, one thing Andrew did, actually, Devin, maybe, I think what you said was the idea of having an FAQ that we can, as sort of a standard.
Yeah,
hey,
I think that would be helpful. I feel like there's a lot of questions that come up fairly frequently that are, and it's something that'd be a living document, right? We're going to see patterns over time of the same questions coming up or the same genre of questions coming up, and having something in place where, like an SOP of this is the expectation before coming for support, just because we've aggregated it and we might be able to help you faster through an FAQ. And then if you are still stuck after reading through that, then please come talk to us. Because it's good to have a first line of defense that's like, these are the common problems that we get asked a lot. Here's the resources to go find what you need.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting thing to get started.
Do you want to try drafting a new description?
Sure. We'll probably get some time to do that over Christmas.
Cool. Calendar. All right. I think we can probably wrap up unless anybody has anything else they'd like to talk about right now.
Okay.
Thank you all for showing up. My apologies again for the chaos and lack of communication. We'll get better. And yep, next meeting, January 9th, 2019. Oh God, 2019. At 4 p.m. UTC, same time. Stephen will present his work on the Jenkins templating engine, and if there's other agenda items people would like to add, just bring them up on Gitter or on the mailing list, and we'll see what we can do.
Okay.
All right. Thanks,
Excellent.
everyone.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the brave invite.
Thank you all very much.
All right, thanks. Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.